Welcome to another episode of Consumer Protection and You with Ryan Lippe. Ryan Lippe is a consumer educator with the State of Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost's office. And today we're going to be talking about trial offers when free may not necessarily be free. So stay tuned. Welcome to another episode of Consumer Protection and You with Ryan Lippe. Ryan Lippe is a consumer educator with the State of Ohio Attorney General's office, Dave Yost. And today we're going to be talking about trial offers. Free may not necessarily be free. Ryan, it's always a pleasure talking with you.
Great. Thanks, Patrick. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to educate your audience and share information with them about consumer protection issues.
Well, it's very interesting. We as people are very trusting, and oftentimes we get sucked into may not necessarily be scams. It may be things that we are unaware of.
Well, and you've probably seen advertisements on TV and the radio, as well as emails and maybe even things in the postal mail about free trial offers. There's always a supplement or a weight loss cure, or just about everything these days seems to be available as a free trial offer. So our important point to make is free does not always mean free. And so when you're asked for a free trial offer, you may still be asked for your credit card number. Why is that? That's because they may want to bill you for shipping and handling. Hopefully, they're going to tell you about that in advance. That's important. But even if they don't charge you for shipping and handling right away, they may want that credit card number to send you more merchandise or that same product on an ongoing basis in the future. Now, all this should be clear to you, and you should get terms and conditions of these offers before they ever start sending them to you. But there can be a lot of fine print. Sometimes things, when you sign up online, they have an automatic box that's checked where you agree to future shipments. So if you don't uncheck the box, you may be getting into what they call a negative option type situation. So lots and lots of things to look at before you start handing over your credit card, including whether you're going to be billed every month, for how long, and making sure that you only sign up for what you know you are getting into.
I've noticed a number of TV ads on different orthotic devices, such as hearing aids. You're enticed to try this for 30 days, and if you don't like it, just send it back and we'll refund your money. But in tiny print, it says there's a restocking fee of 20%. And I found that interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting, especially with electronic items and medical devices. Sometimes there is a restocking fee where if you want to return the item, first you may have to pay for shipping back the item. But then there might be a restocking fee of 10 or 20% because they might need to cover some charges and some overhead and administrative costs of processing that return or repackaging it for resale or refurbishing it for resale. So be careful, especially with electronic items. There may be that kind of restocking fee. But again, if it's a free trial, you want to know the details. You want to know when is the time to cancel it? When is the trial period over? And do you have to pay for shipping and fees and handling and things like that? That would make the free trial not really being free. You might have to pay a little bit for that first item. And then, of course, you want to make sure that you know what you've agreed to. How long is the trial period? How do you cancel if you don't want to continue with a subscription after the trial period? And you just want to make sure you know every little tidbit about what you're signing up for so you don't get surprised. In fact, I was talking with one of my colleagues earlier today, and she had a really good point. She mentioned keeping a schedule. of when these trial periods are over, and making sure you know when to call and where to call. And so you have that on your to-do list so you're not too late. You want to make sure if you want to cancel or if you want to avoid shipment, sometimes you have to call by a specific date or they'll automatically mail you something. And if you miss the date, it may be too late for them to stop the product from reaching your home. So just some good things to do for planning purposes. Get a schedule together or put it on your regular calendar, any kind of offers that might be expiring. And, in that regard, a lot of products and services sometimes have temporary promotional rates. I know when I signed up for internet, when I signed up for cable, there was a special promotional rate good for, in my case, a couple of years, but sometimes the promotions last only for several months. So you're going to want to know when to call up and see if you can renew that promotion or get involved in another promotion, or worst case scenario, prepare for higher bills because you'll know that the promotional offer expires and you'll be continuing on a higher rate unless you cancel.
One of my business associates had indicated that acquiring their credit report, it was suggested that they sign up for free protection. And so I was just out of curiosity. I went in there because he was a little bit dismayed as to the approach they were doing. And it was basically get free credit protection for 7 days. And if you are not satisfied, just call and cancel. And of course, they wanted the credit card. So basically I signed it up. And then about a half hour later, I called them and said, take me off the list. And they pretty much refused. They had indicated that, no, let's just wait for another 7 days or something like that. And I was very adamant that, take me off the list. So, sometimes when you do call, some businesses or organizations are hoping you forget or that they give you reasons why you should stay on.
Yeah, or maybe a better case scenario is they want to negotiate with you and they might want to get you into some other promotion or want you to continue for a lower price than what you might have been advertised. So there can be good things as well about them. But if they're refusing to cancel or if they're trying to hard sell you on that same item, potentially at that same price, you want to make sure you only sign up for what you really want. So, after you sign up for a free trial, mark your calendar and monitor your credit and debit statements for all the charges that might apply for your subscription or for your trial offer. And just remember, if it's extended, if you don't cancel, you might be planning on getting shipments as often as every couple weeks or every month, depending on what kind of plan you've subscribed for. And as we mentioned earlier, if they do try to talk you into keeping the offer instead of canceling, make sure you tell them your true wishes. And if you need to sit on it for a few minutes or do some research, make sure to do that. I mean, feel free to research the company online even before you sign up for anything to figure out if people have had complaints, if there have been problems with either shipping charges or people not being able to cancel. Just putting in the name of a company along with words like scam or complaint or review can give you some sense of what some of the problems have been with that company. And maybe there aren't any. That's a great thing. If everybody's happy, you should see that in consumer reviews. But if there are problems, you should be making yourself aware of them before it's time to get into that free trial offer, and especially before it's extended for future shipments.
Customers in Ohio, I believe, if they sign something, they have 3 days in which they can jump out of the contract. Does this also apply?
Well, the 3-day right to cancel occurs depending on the product and service and where the contract is signed. There's usually a 3-day right to cancel if if the business is outside of their normal office, if it's like at a fair or a trade show, or if someone goes door to door to sell you something, you will usually have a 3-day right to cancel. But different rules apply under telemarketing scenarios, and you should have a period of time to reject the product before it automatically is shipped to your home. There's something called the pre-notification negative option rule. I know that's a long name, but it gives you the right to receive clear, prominent details of how a buying club works as part of the promotional materials that are used to enroll you. So that's there are some protections with what we call buying clubs, but there are just so many different products and services that are sold these days as a free trial offer. And those are buzzwords that so many different marketers are using to try to entice people to order the product initially and to continue the product after the free trial ends. So it really is buyer beware, as it always is. The onus is on us. There are some requirements, but let's just make sure that we do our homework, that we figure out the company's reputation. If you have a complaint about a club or about a promotional trial offer, you can definitely give us a call. Our toll-free number at the Ohio Attorney General's office is 800-282-0515. That's 800-282-0515. And the website for the Ohio Attorney General's Consumer Protection section is www.ohioprotects.org. That's ohioprotects.org. And you can certainly try other resources as well. I know the Better Business Bureau puts grade cards out on some companies. So you may even be able to look at the Better Business Bureau for whether a company gets an A+ in terms of their service, or whether they get a D- or an F. And that I'm sure what factors into that includes how well they respond to complaints. And so you want a company to be responsive, and if you say no, you want them to take you at your word instead of trying to mail you things in disregard for what you're saying. So that's why it's so important to be proactive, to do your research, and to find out what a company and what an offer are all about before you give them your address, before you give them your credit card number, and before you start receiving shipments of that first supply.
Now, I had heard that if a company ships you something that you have not indicated you want, you can keep that. Is that correct?
That's generally the federal rule, is if someone ships something to your name at your address, you never ordered it, didn't agree to anything, for the most part, you're able to keep that item without being subjected to someone wanting you to mail it back, or postage fees, or anything like that. If somebody mails something to you that you haven't ordered, that you didn't request, for the most part, it's yours to keep. I'm sure there's some exceptions, and I'm sure some lawyers have exceptions, but under federal rules, if you get something you didn't order and it's addressed to you and it's meant for you, it's usually yours to keep. But one thing that you got to worry about is the fine print on some of these offers that you may have signed up for or you may have agreed to. Is there anything in the fine print, anything in the terms and conditions that says they're going to mail you things at your expense that you're going to have to pay for later on? And as I mentioned when we first started the interview, there is what's called a negative option that is used oftentimes with products and services, where you have to tell them if you don't want more of the product or service, or else they will assume that you do want it. I realize that's not always in consumers' favor, but that's the way some of these companies operate. And also, you just need to remember that when you're signing up on the internet, Make sure you're looking at all the screens, make sure you're looking at all the disclosures, and make sure that you have only ticked in the box that you of what you want to apply to that transaction. Sometimes they will automatically have boxes ticked or checked off that will agree that you accept other shipments or pay certain charges. So just make sure everything lines up before you start being enticed by these free trial offers.
Do you remember before the internet, you could buy books or cassette records, get 12 books for a penny?
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
the fine print was you've got to buy 4, 5, or 6 within the next year.
Yes, and usually pay shipping and handling. And there was a response requirement with those buying clubs where they would send you a notification that, hey, if you don't take action, you're going to be shipped, X, Y, and Z, or you're going to be shipped a CD or a record or a tape automatically if you don't say no. So you got to be really, really careful and be in touch with your Daily Mail to figure out, and then make sure you know the date that you have to send the reply card back. Those types of buying clubs still exist, maybe not for records and CDs and tapes any longer, but there are a lot of subscription programs out there. I know that they have it for men's and women's grooming products. They have it for pet toys. They have it for all kinds of different things. And it can look attractive at the beginning because they might give you the first box at a discount, or they may even pay shipping and handling for the first purchase. But then what about subsequent purchases? What are you actually agreeing to when you say yes the first time? And remember what I told you about negative option. If you don't say you don't want it, you may get it and have to pay for it. So again, remember some good buying tips, like using your credit card so you can dispute charges if you never authorized your card to be charged for those purchases. Remember to go to the Better Business Bureau. Take a look at the company's rating. Make sure to go to the Ohio Attorney General's office, the office I work for, to find out about companies and whether we've gotten a lot of constituent inquiries or complaints about those companies. And if you have a complaint, if you have something that hasn't worked out with a company, if you have something that you consider to be an unfair business practice, or if you have a complaint, we do have that informal dispute resolution process that's completely free for you as a consumer. If you're an Ohio resident and you need help from the AG's office, we have a help center. You can go to our website, go to our toll-free number, 800-282-0515, and we run into all kinds of companies, all kinds of problems, big and small, that we might be able to resolve in your favor. No, we can't force a company to act. If we sue a company, it's going to be after getting a lot of complaints, or at least more than just a few complaints. And it's going to be maybe for a pattern or practice of unconscionable conduct or unfair practices. It's not going to be just because you have one complaint against this company. We cannot provide legal services or be your attorney for a case like that. But if we get enough complaints, certainly it could rise to the level of challenging something in court. But for the most part, a lot of our problems, and we took 24,000 complaints in 2020, and it seems like we always take at least 21,000 complaints a year. So if you do have a complaint, if you can't see eye to eye with a business, I encourage people to let us know how we can help at the Ohio Attorney General's office.
When you do file a complaint, do you have to also show where you, in good faith, tried to return it or tried to negotiate or try to talk with them?
Certainly, we want consumers to try to negotiate with the company, or at least come to terms with the company before they contact us. And it can be important to keep record of the details. So if you've had communication with the company, find out before you get off the phone or off the chat or off the email, just find out who you're speaking with and the date and time and what you've done to try to help negotiate the problem yourself. Then, of course, you can contact our office, and the more details you have, the better. We might not need all that information right away, and there's no requirement that you contact the company 3 times or 5 times to try to resolve an issue. But certainly it's important that consumers get used to trying to resolve problems on their own. But we're there. We're here to protect the unprotected, as the Attorney General would say himself. So one important topic to address is how to stop a subscription, because a lot of people sign up for trial offers, or they might have children signing up for trial offers, or they may accidentally sign up for offers, because sometimes even when you ask for more information, you're actually signing up for something. So to stop a subscription, the Federal Trade Commission has some really good advice. First, you want to contact the company that runs the subscription. And you want to keep a copy of the request you're making to that company, any notes that you have with the about the conversation, who you talk to, things like that, and then watch your bank or credit card statements. You want to check for charges after you've had that discussion with them, and when you've come to terms with getting a refund or stopping a subscription, pay close attention to your bank statements, your credit card statements, to make sure you're not being charged after you've tried to cancel. And if you have a dispute, you can certainly file with your credit card company, and that really is probably your safest method of payment for these type of subscription offers, is a credit card, because you can, if you need to, complain to your credit card company, dispute the charge, request the charge back to the originating company. Factors like that that you can't necessarily do with cash or with a check or with money order, things like that. So in this case, your credit card is your friend, because they're the most consumer protections apply when you are using a credit card. But always, always, always check your credit card and your bank statements closely. And if you have a complaint, if you have to dispute a charge, do it right away. You don't want to wait for 2 or 3 billing cycles in order to do it. Don't wait for charges to pile up. Get on top of it right away with the credit card company.
If I use a debit card, does that have the same protection as a credit card?
Well, it might only if you're having it processed as a credit card. If you're using a debit card and having it processed as a debit card, first of all, the money is usually going to come right out of your bank account, rather than letting you wait for a statement and then having some grace period and things like that. The money's coming right out. So you're sort of put on the defensive right away. And the credit card laws are slightly different than the debit card laws. The longer you wait to complain about a debit card transaction that you didn't authorize, the more you may be liable for. And so there's a real reason to use a credit card out there for these internet-based purchases or with these subscription-based purposes. It's better to use a credit card than a debit card or cash or any other kind of method of payment. And again, I've mentioned to you before on this program about gift cards and Western Union, MoneyGram. Those kind of payments are not for use with strangers. So if somebody's asking you to pay, for instance, with an Amazon gift card, and it's anybody but Amazon, that's a problem. It's probably a scam of some sort. If somebody's asking for cryptocurrency, or if they're asking for a payment method you're not familiar with, question why they need that payment method and figure out what's going on before you start releasing payment by gift card, Western Union, MoneyGram. Any of those payment transfer methods are meant for people you already know, including Zelle and Venmo and some of those peer-to-peer networking kinds of payment methods. Those are best used for people you already know, friends and family, folks like that. They tell people, they try to tell people and warn consumers, don't use this product with strangers. Don't pay strangers with those products, because they're meant just for your friends and family. So if somebody tries to do business with you, if they ask for a Google Play card or an Amazon card or an Apple card, and they're not from that business, that's when you want to put the brakes on. Not all products and services are scams. There are such things as free trial offers, but if it's too good to be true, it probably is. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. So just keep that mantra in mind. And if somebody says that you're going to be getting something for nothing, be a little skeptical and a little suspicious. Do your research. Make sure you know what you're getting into. Read all the fine print. Only check boxes or keep boxes checked that you agree to before submitting an online form or an online order. And be careful about what you're signing up for, because a free trial offer, unfortunately, in this day and age, can mean you're paying money over and over again if you don't call and cancel. The important thing to know is a lot of times with internet purchases, and if you're little concerned about whether a company is a scam or not, the best thing to do is to use your credit card. You have the strongest consumer protections. You can go back to a credit card company and say, hey, this company's overcharging me. Or, hey, I didn't mean to buy this. And they can issue what's called a chargeback, which means they take that money. Hopefully, in the end, they'll take the money off your bill and they will charge it back to the manufacturer. So that's a good protection that you have that you may not get as much of as when you use cash or a debit card or something like that. So credit card is usually your safest method of payment, especially for internet purchases. And again, if you need to dispute a charge, do that with the company that charged you, but you also have that credit card company as a resource as well to contact to dispute the charge.
And I'm assuming that there's a period of time that you're able to do that.
Sure. I mean, there are federal rules and laws and things about how much time can transpire, I believe. But the important thing is to get on it right away and to monitor your credit card, monitor your credit card charges, monitor your bank accounts. And if you see something that doesn't seem quite right, doesn't add up, or if you see a charge that you think is unfamiliar, or it includes the product price when you're only supposed to pay shipping and handling, anything that doesn't seem right, contact the manufacturer or the one that charged you. If you need to, contact the credit card company to dispute the charge. And if you can't work it out, call our office at the Ohio Attorney General's office. We have ohioprotects.org. We have the toll-free number, 800-282-0515. We can get you hopefully involved in our informal dispute resolution if you don't see eye to eye with the company.
Okay, we're talking with Ryan Lippe. Ryan Lippe is a consumer educator with the State of Ohio Attorney General's office, Dave Yost. Ryan, thank you. I really appreciate all the good information. I'm quite sure that our viewers find the information very impactful.